निकाल दे दो कुछ. Yeah. May I request President Mr. Vikas Singh and Mr. Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President, to kindly escort Honorable Mr. Justice UU Lalit, Chief Justice of India, Honorable Dr. Justice DY Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India Designate, and Mr. R. Venkatramani, Learning Attorney General for India, to the dais. This itself is a sight. May I request Ms. Sangeeta Singh, Member Executive, to kindly present a bouquet to Honorable Mr. Justice UU Lalit, Chief Justice of India. May I request Mr. Mukesh Kumar Singh, Member Executive, to kindly present a bouquet to Honorable Dr. Justice DY Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India Designate. May I request Mr. Vikas Gupta, Member Executive, to kindly present a bouquet to Mr. R. Venkatramani, Learning Attorney General for India. May I request Ms. Sonia Mathu, Senior Advocate and Senior Member Executive, to kindly present a bouquet to Amita Ma'am, Mrs. UU Lalit. Honorable Mr. Justice UU Lalit, Chief Justice of India, Honorable Dr. Justice DY Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India Designate, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court, Mr. R. Venkatramani, Learning Attorney General for India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, Amita Ma'am is UU Lalit, Shreyas, son of Justice Lalit and daughter-in-law Ravina, Shri Vikas Singh, President SCBA, Shri Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President SCBA, Mr. Manoj Mishra, President SCORA, Mr. Snehashish Mukherjee, Vice President SCORA, Mr. Devrat, Honorary Secretary SCORA, Senior Advocates, former President Mr. P.H. Parekh, Mr. Rakesh Khanna, former Secretaries Mr. Vikrant Yadav, Mr. K.C. Kaushik, Senior Advocates and my fellow colleagues at the bar, a very good evening to you all. Today we have gathered here to bid farewell to Honorable Mr. Justice UU Lalit. It is an emotional moment for the whole bar, as Sir was practicing in this court before his elevation as a Supreme Court judge. How much the bar loves him can be seen with the way people have turned up here. There's no place to stand, and what I am told, people are still coming. He was the second lawyer who was elevated directly as a Supreme Court judge from Supreme Court Bar Association to become CJI after Justice S.M. Sikri in 1971, that is after more than 50 years. He has been part of this institution for more than 40 years, around 32 years as a lawyer, and 8 years as a Supreme Court judge. He has been an advocate on record in this court, thereafter an arguing counsel, and then a designated senior advocate who was designated by the Supreme Court in 2004 and was one of the top senior counsels of this court. He was appointed as a Supreme Court judge on 13th of August 2014 and appointed as Chief Justice of India on 27th of August 2022. Sir was one of the most sought-after senior counsels, especially in criminal matters when he was in practice. And after joining the bench, now retiring as Chief Justice of India, so both in bar and bench, he reached the top. He has always been a very principled person and a very patient person. At least I never saw in my around 20 years in the bar, 70 mentioning in chief court at 10:30 in the morning, and Honorable CJI hearing everyone patiently with a smile and directing listing of matters where there was urgency immediately. In his tenure of around 8 years as a Supreme Court judge, he gave many landmark judgments. He was part of the Constitution bench in Shaira Banu vs. Union of India, reported in 2017, 9 SCC 1, related to triple talaq, which held that the practice was unconstitutional. In Dr. Subhash Kashinath Mahajan vs. State of Maharashtra, reported in 2018, 6 SCC 454, directions were issued for procedural safeguards to prevent misuse of SC/ST Act 1989. In Attorney General vs. Satish, reported in 2022, 5 SCC 545, Section 7 of POSCO Act was interpreted and the judgment of Bombay High Court was set aside. In Marathanda Verma vs. State of Kerala, reported in 2022, 1 SCC 225, rights of erstwhile royal family of Travancore were upheld to manage the Sri Padmanabha Swami Temple in Kerala and many other landmark cases. In his tenure as Chief Justice of India, we found on the administrative side also, sir was very decisive. Lawyers were facing problem of listing of fresh matters, and filing of fresh matters became systematic after a long time in his tenure, and all categories of matters were being listed within 7 to 10 days of their registration, as was being assured to us. Regular matters were being taken up after a long time, probably after 2-3 years, which had not come up for hearing for some time. Many constitution benches were set up, and there was a time there were 3 constitution benches running simultaneously. And the result is that once the law is laid down by constitution bench, a lot of matters pending in Supreme Court and High Court are disposed of. Possession letters were given to around 460 lawyers in the D block additional building complex. We had requested, sir, that the possession letters be given to lawyers at the earliest, and he had assured us that he would sign it on the first day of Navratra, and the file was signed by him on the first day of Navratra. Entry issues were sorted out in the additional building complex, for which lawyers were facing problems. The issue of change of category for chamber allotment from non-AR to AR, or from non-AR or AR to senior, who were totally ousted from the list for chamber allotment, was also sorted out regarding the 2001 and 4 panel list after interpreting Gopalja judgment. With this, may I now request Mr. Pradeep Kumar Rai, Senior Advocate and Vice President SCBA, to kindly give his welcome address.
Honorable Justice Uday Umesh Lalit, the Chief Justice of India, Honorable Justice DY Chandrachud, CJI Designate, Honorable Judges of Supreme Court of India, Mr. R. Venkat Ramani, Attorney General for India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Solicitor General of India, Rahul Kaushik, Secretary, SCBA, Mr. Vikas Singh, President, Supreme Court Bar Association, Rohit Pandey, Yugandhra Jha, Deepak Kansal, Manoj Mishra ji, President ISKORA, Honorable P.H. Parekh ji, 6-time President of the Bar and 10 times President of ISKORA, Amita ma'am, Shreyas, and other family members of Honorable Justice Lalit. Yesterday, Honorable Justice Lalit told me that you should not drop any atom bomb. So obviously, he is our elder brother. He has been a person whom we have seen from the day we joined this bar, and he has been one of the most successful lawyers. We have been motivated from his actions, from his career, and the similar opportunity is not going to come to us. This is the first opportunity when he becomes CJI, and similar opportunity will come when Honorable Justice P.S. Narasimha will become the Chief Justice of India. We are really, sometimes I have the mixed reactions. Honorable Justice Lalit, he had served this bar, he had been a senior counsel, he became judge, but in any part of our imagination, we never thought that he is not going to be seen in this courtroom. Though we all aware that at 65 he may demit office, but that was not in our imagination. This is giving us mixed reactions. Sir, wherever you will go, you will sign. Wherever you choose to an area that where you have to perform, you will be outstanding. This is the third generation, fourth generation of your family present here, and third generation you are. I remember, and last occasion also I had narrated that when you had constructed your sector 44 house, we had visited, and you had waited for Mr. P.H. Parikh, that let Mr. Parikh come and sit on that chair, and thereafter I will sit. That is the respect, that is the sanskar which has been shown towards the Guru and towards the senior persons. That is the path, sir, you all have shown to us, and we all are also following in that direction. Your career was full of achievements. Sir, this auditorium itself, where we are conducting this function, that was not possible if you, Honorable Justice Gawai, Honorable Justice Khanna, Honorable Justice Maheshwari, and many other, Honorable Justice Chandrachud himself, we all were here, and you decided that this chamber should be made available for the members of the bar, this auditorium. And since then, we are conducting functions here. It's actually giving us a lot of relief. We are saving money. And not only this, the functions are also being carried out with full dignity. Sir, when I was coming here, many of our members, they questioned that what is your stand on Honorable Law Minister's statement on collegium. Though I did not intend to say, but you all have mentioned. So I will say that collegium system is working absolutely nicely. Honorable Law Minister is a very good friend of mine. I have known him for over 2 decades. And he is a political person, so politicians make statements. Honorable judges do not have medium to say something or make a statement. This bar cannot be silent on those issues. If he has any suggestion where the collegium system or this Honorable Supreme Court of India work completely without any influence of any government or intervention, that will be appreciated. We welcome his suggestions. Sir, ultimately, I will say that you are such a person, आंखों में मंजिल थी, गिरे और संभलते रहे, आंधियों में क्या दम था, चिराग हवा में भी जलते रहे. Sir, you have given an exemplary contribution to the system. When Honorable Justice Kaul has signed the papers of 250 mediators, and he allowed, Honorable Justice Narasimha was also member in that committee. So we had a special privilege over him that if there is interest of bar, they will never shy and they will always help us. That is the record. And you as a NALSA chairman, you have traveled almost all of the states. That is not a small contribution. I will say, sir, that your contributions will never be forgotten. And I feel that you are not going to retire. You will be part of us. You have been part of us, and you will remain part of us. Thank you so much. I welcome each and everyone.
Thank you, Pradeep, sir. Everyone in this auditorium, I guess, either would have briefed him or would have appeared him or would have opposed him in matters. May I now request Mr. R. Venkatramani, Learning Attorney General for India, to the dais to deliver his address.
It is said that we never properly plan for the future. This auditorium has not been planned to keep in mind that one day we will have a judge who will, without departing, depart from us to have this huge gathering here. What a wonderful gathering. I wish we have plans for the future and make this auditorium a little more bigger to show our love and affection to all those judges who come and grace this court and add value to this court and be part of the family of administration of justice. In the afternoon, while I took few minutes in Chief Justice Lalit's court, being part of the congregation of people who wanted to share their love and affection, I promised to Chief Justice Lalit I will write a small piece of poetry, and I wrote this. Let me read it. When rare souls of sublime make walk with grace and beatitude, every life around in applause bend. When minds drawn to care for all walk with silent blossoms of fragrance full, every hand in vicious wave. When special ways of justice talk, in quiet ways do harvest great. Who will not in gaiety rush to play, their hearts swell in music big? Who can resist a million greets? Who can hold their tongues in joy abound? You walked with grace the corridors of the court. You sat in court with justice thoughts in plenty looms, and never in thoughts with room for ill will small. My humble thoughts I gather swift to scribe my love and words deep, deep in an ink of rare that dry will not. Some leave from spaces special, but without leaving, they are ever special. So you are leaving us without leaving. My very personal, fond, affectionate, long memories in the corridors of the court. We have walked together. I have had the opportunity of being with you in the court and picking up as much as I would love to have from your hands of justice. And therefore, and I would like to probably say this little poetry with the best way of paying gratitude to you so much.
Thank you, sir, for such apt words for Justice Lalit. With this, may I now request Mr. Vikas Singh, Senior Advocate and President SCBA, to kindly give his address.
Justice UU Lalit, Honorable Chief Justice of India, Justice DY Chandrachud, Honorable Chief Justice of India, Designate, Honorable Judges of this court present here today, Retired Judge Justice Gopal Gowda, Justice B.N. Agarwal of this court present here today, Justice Talwant Singh of the Delhi High Court present here today, the learned Attorney General Shri R. Venkat Ramani, law officers of the Government of India, Shri Pradeep Rai, Vice President SCBA, Rahul Kaushik, Secretary SCBA, members of the Executive Committee of SCBA, Shri Manoj Mishra, President SCORA, members of the Executive Committee of SCORA, members of the Bar, and ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a proud privilege for me to be here today on this very momentous moment for the SCBA to bid farewell to Justice Lalit. This is one occasion where, as the President of the Bar expects me to speak what the Bar feels about the outgoing judge. And I try to factor in every time when I speak on a retired judge. But I must confess, sometimes I have to sugarcoat what I'm saying. But today what I'm going to say, there is no sugarcoating required, because what I'm going to speak is entirely from my heart and representing the hearts of all the members practicing in Supreme Court. Before I say much about Justice Lalit, I would like to say a few things that, interestingly, I share of certain qualities with Justice Lalit. We both, before taking oath or before starting this profession, not oath, starting this profession, he visited the Dargah at Nagpur, which is a confluence of religions, in 1983. I visited Tirupati Balaji in 1989. Both of us have been visiting both these respective places of worship every year since then. Justice Lalit became independent at the age of 35 with 2 small children. I started as an independent at the age 30 with again 2 small children. We both got designated in 2004. We both take inspiration from Justice Venkatachalaya. In fact, I remember when Justice Venkatachalaya retired, I felt so touched by whatever he had done as Chief Justice of India that I touched his feet on the lawns of the Supreme Court. And both of us are extremely close to our grandfathers. Justice Lalit take inspiration from his grandfather. I learned to live from my grandfather, and both of us were extremely close. As Chief Justice of India, Justice Lalit unfortunately had a very short tenure. And as they say, that if you have to do a lot in a short time, then you have to hit the ground running. And that is exactly what Justice Lalit did. I remember he called for a meeting of SCBA and SCORA, a joint meeting, even before taking oath. And he heard all our issues, he heard all our problems. And day one, I must assure the bar, I must tell the bar, day one, on his taking oath, almost all of them were implemented, mostly the issues of listing, because we have had a very, I would say, a bad period for the last 2.5, 3 years, where matters were not getting listed. The bar was feeling extremely frustrated. Litigants were feeling frustrated. This institution is meant to do justice, and if the litigants feel that their matters are not getting listed, you all can appreciate how frustrating it can be. But all the issues that we raised before him were started to be sorted from day one, and the 74 days are a testimony of what all has been done with regard to sitting of constitution benches, with regard to regular hearing matters, with regard to listing matters. Another thing which I would like to point out is that in my 32 years in Supreme Court, I have never seen a Chief Justice of India, who has been so patient on mentioning. Invariably, a CJI on mentioning some half an hour, some 40 minutes, lose patience. And they say, no, we have to get on with the regular board also, and then mentioning closes at that time. I have seen with my own eyes 60, 70 listed mentioning, and listed mentioning means mentioning which was told to be heard the same day are immediately prepared in the form of a listed mentioning. Justice Lalit hearing each and every case and passing some order or the other, whether it be some urgent orders are to be passed or it is to be listed, whether it be listed immediately or it is listed after a week or 10 days, but orders passed in every matter which is listed. And this is different from the regular board that he has for the other day, for the whole day. I have seen even junior counsels after the listing mentioning is over, who had all opportunity to get their matters fixed in the listed mentioning, to mention even after that. And if there is an urgency, he has passed orders in those as well. It is unfortunate that we have not had a videograph made of Justice Lalit doing the mentioning, because the live streaming happened only on the last day when he did not take the mentioning. But I feel that this will be a message, if there could be some, at least the kind of humbleness with which he used to talk to every lawyer. Every lawyer was referred to as sir. Every lady was referred to as madam. There was so much of respect shown to the junior most members of the bar, is something so humbling that I can never forget this. And I beseech the Chief Justice of India designate, who is also equally humble and who is also equally polite, that I am sure he will continue this tradition so that this problem of ours should remain a thing of the past. Justice Lalit in January 76, at the young age of 19 years, was inspired to become a lawyer when he went to the courtroom for the first time on the last working day of his father's sitting as a judge. And it is that visit to the courtroom which inspired him to become a lawyer. And we are blessed to have him with us today, not only as our colleague, as a non-AOR, otherwise some lawyers object to this word non-AOR, as an arguing counsel, as a AOR, and then as a senior designated by the Supreme Court. This would not have happened if he probably had not gone to the court that day. Amongst his inspirations is, of course, our very dear friend who's no more, Mr. Vinod Bobde, one of our seniors practicing here. He was, as everybody knows, in Mr. Parikh's chamber, and then he was having Justice Indu Malhotra as his super senior. He was with Mr. Soli Sorabji from 86 to 92. Amongst the retired judges, apart from Justice Venkat Chalaiya, he drew a lot of inspiration from Justice Krishna Iyer, Justice Bhagwati, and Justice Chandrachud, who happens to be the father of our Chief Justice of India designate. At the time of retirement of Justice Lalit, I would be failing in my duty in not mentioning Justice Lodha, who decided to recommend two names of our bar, Justice Lalit and Justice Nariman. And I congratulate Justice Lodha if he's hearing the live streaming to him directly. Otherwise, I will ensure that this video clip is sent to him. That he insisted that Justice Lalit and Justice Nariman come to the bench and serve the people, because everybody knows both of them did a huge sacrifice to join as a judge, because they were having a roaring practice and getting down from that roaring practice to a measly salary, which probably, I remember once Justice Nariman mentioned to me that a good Friday or a good Monday was equivalent to the entire salary he got as a judge of the Supreme Court in 7 years. Justice Lalit has been extremely polite, and the demeanor that he has shown to the members of the bar, I am sure, is a tradition which every judge should follow. And when you go for this justice dispensation and you appear before a judge, you basically require three things. One is politeness from the judge, second is patience, and third, of course, is that the members should feel the integrity. And I must say with a full confidence that all three qualities were there in abundance with Justice Lalit when he became a judge or as Chief Justice of India. His wife, Mrs. Amita Lal Lalit, is present here today. She was also a lawyer for some time. She practiced as a junior with Mr. C.S. Vaidyanathan. She is a passionate educationist and a founder principal of the Stimulus Preschool School, a school for special kids. She's a trained classical dancer. The thing which really needs to mention about her, she's of course Justice Lalit's strongest critic and the best admirer, that she has started this concept of having children of special needs study with normal children. And that really is a huge step, because that's the only way for special children to be made proper members of the society, who can participate and be effective in delivering whatever is expected from them by virtue of this education. Justice Lalit has the unique distinction of appearing as a amicus curiae in a large number of matters. And we all know amicus curiae is a lot of work, no money, and a lot of hard work. And it's all mostly pro bono. In his case, I'm sure it was all pro bono. But that is the kind of reputation, that is the kind of integrity he brought to this profession, that he was the choice amicus curiae of almost every bench during the time he was a senior advocate in the Supreme Court. Justice Lalit can be said to be a tortoise in the hare and tortoise story. And when I say tortoise, I don't mean going slow. When I say tortoise, I mean keeping your head down and working and not looking for the results. Results automatically follow for people who work with their head down. That's the example that Justice Lalit has set by his life. He has learned Sanskrit and he intends to do more of that post his retirement. He is, in spite of being a diabetic, fond of Amras and Shrikhand, and he must have the Kasata ice cream, but he compensates 2% by having coffee without sugar. He is a lover of Kishore Kumar, Rafi and Lata. And I am sure in the days to come, he'll get more time for his passion of traveling, music, cricket. In the canteen, we all saw him having his tea with Good Day biscuit. Now, this is something which is very unique for people who have done this in their childhood to continue this all their lives. And this was one habit we all saw him in the canteen having his tea. So we all, from the members of the bar, I wish Justice Lalit a very, very successful, happy, contented next innings in life. It's not a retirement. I would not put it as a retirement. It's just a new innings that he's going to start. And we all pray that he and his family will be happy always. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikas, sir. Justice Lalit has always been a very courteous person. And yes, sir, you are right. How he did mentioning in this court, we all never saw with such patience and with smile, 70 mentioning in a day. And I must tell all the members here that how he encourages staff also. One of the court masters in his court has written 2 books, which has been released by him, one on capital punishment, one related to AOR examination. So he encourages staff also. With this, may I now request Honorable Dr. Justice DY Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India Designate, to kindly give his address.
Our distinguished Chief Justice, Justice Uday Lalit, family members of Justice Lalit, including his gracious spouse, Mrs. Amita Lalit, my brother and sister judges on the bench of the Supreme Court, respected former judges of the Supreme Court, Justice B.N. Agarwal and Justice Gopal Gowda, the learned Attorney General for India, the learned Solicitor General of India, President and Vice President of the Supreme Court Bar Association, other office bearers of the Supreme Court Bar Association, President and office bearers of the Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association, senior advocates, members of the bar, and the officers of the registry. I think most of you in this audience would comprise of people who have either briefed Justice Lalit, appeared with him, I wouldn't say opposed him, but I would say appeared against him. I can share a part of that honor with you. I had the privilege of sitting with him when he joined Mr. Sorabji's chambers, when I would brief Mr. Sorabji as a young lawyer traveling from Mumbai. I had the privilege of opposing or appearing against Justice Lalit in one appeal which came out of a dismissal of a district judge in Maharashtra, where the Bombay High Court had held against us and directed reinstatement with back wages. But there is something more which I must tell you and must share with you without a sense of reservation, which I share with the learned Chief Justice, which you don't share with him. And that is that the relationship between our families travels a long, long way in time. I dare say even before we were both born. Justice Lalit's father, a very respected senior counsel and a doyen of the criminal bar, Shri Umesh Lalit, moved his career from Solapur to Mumbai, and he was then referred to as a junior and worked as a junior in my father's chambers on the appellate side of the Bombay High Court. So our relationship really traces its way back much before we joined the bar and much before we had the first cognizance of our own senses. Appointment to the Supreme Court is an honor, but it can be also daunting for judges who come from the high courts like I did. And there is a reason for it. Assignments in the high courts, particularly in the large volume high courts like Mumbai, where I was a judge for 13 years, or in Allahabad, where I was Chief Justice for nearly 3 years, are subject specific. So what happens in these assignments is that when you are presiding over the commercial court, you do commercial cases. When you are the company judge, you do company cases. When you do writs, you only do writs. In Allahabad, you may do writs only on the revenue side or on the service side, even more specialized. Or you would do criminal revisions. You might be a judge presiding over the direct tax roster or the indirect tax roster. So you know that for the next 4 or 6 months that you do the roster, you are tied down to that particular task. You become specialized, but you also become a little complacent, that you tend to know a lot. The Supreme Court, on the other hand, has its own work rhythm, its own cycle, or for those of you who are musically inclined, its own cadence. You have to deal with everything from the insolvency and bankruptcy code to serious crime, to appeals against statutory bodies, to the Constitution, to the environment, to consumer protection, to service and labor. You have everything under the sun from different states coming into your plate every day. I must confess with you that I came to grips on my understanding of the nature of criminal work and practice sitting with our Chief Justice, Justice Lalit as he then was. I understood from him the nuances of the procedure and the substantive law governing criminal law. I found, while sitting with him over an extended period of time, that our Chief Justice was collaborative, always turned to the judge sitting with him to ask him what he felt about the case. He was always consultative, discussed issues with the judge. But above all, and I think that is the heart of being a good judge, he was compassionate and is compassionate. I can share with you only one small example. Everyone reads about what the Supreme Court decides in the big ticket reported judgments. But there are unreported hearings which we conduct every day which tell us a lot about the personality of our colleagues on the bench. Justice Lalit and I decided a matter pertaining to engineers from the then state of Jammu and Kashmir. Unfortunately, we had to hold against them. While we held against them, we had a little bit of sadness in our heart that we had turned out of our doors people who should have perhaps been protected, but the law was dead against them. So we had to dismiss their appeal. We got the ever-present miscellaneous applications. Usually the instinct would have been, well, why have you come back? We've already dismissed your appeal. Justice Lalit turned to me and while we were hearing one of the miscellaneous appeals and said, in Marathi, "Yanchaसाठी काहीतरी करायचंय. We must do something for them." So we tried to weave our way into the framework of our own judgment to give some relief, some opportunity for the future for these young engineers who had come from Jammu and Kashmir. That really so beautifully reflects his personality. Now I'll share a secret with you, which I hope he will not mind my disclosing to you. Because just the other day, when we were having a cup of coffee in his chamber, the Chief Justice shared with me a conversation with a former Chief Justice of India, which left a deep imprint on his mind as a young lawyer. And the conversation was about how should a judge read a brief. And the Chief Justice told me that the judge told him that the purpose of a judge reading a brief is to meet the lawyer and not beat the lawyer. Now, everything that we say tends to get reported in the social media, so I must correct myself as soon as I have made that statement. What the former Chief Justice meant about meeting a lawyer was meeting a lawyer intellectually. And what he meant to say about not beating a lawyer was not being aggressive. There's nothing adversarial between the bar and bench in the proceedings which go along in the court. So both of us, in that sense, have a shared tradition. The large gathering today, I believe, which is showering all this praise and affection on our distinguished Chief Justice, is not just an accolade to your lawyering and to judging, but also to the remarkable leadership that you have shown as the Chief Justice of India, as well as for the work that you have done which has uplifted our institution. Personally, as your successor, I'm conscious that I have very big-sized shoes to fill because you have really raised the bar for the Chief Justice. Justice Lalit's career from his time as a lawyer has been a reflection of his dedication to public service. Obviously, there's a big monetary sacrifice when a member of the bar accepts judgeship for the Supreme Court. But you don't accept judgeship ever for the monetary rewards or the perquisites which are attached to the office. They can be all in vain if you don't be true to the call of conscience which leads you to these offices. Justice Lalit served as a member of the Supreme Court Legal Service Committee for 2 terms. He was CBI Special Prosecutor in all the 2G matters. He was one of the most favored amicus curiae in the court. Served in multiple landmark matters, including vehicular pollution, forests, and the pollution of the river Yamuna. I've heard stories about how Justice Lalit appeared in almost every high court, and how in those days, when there were no virtual hearings, he would appear in multiple courts in the same day, located in different locations. I dare say that if the then Chief Justice had appointed me as chairperson of the E-Committee when Justice Lalit was at the bar, he would have had multiple screens on his desk to conduct multiple hearings. Along with his sincerity, the knowledge and the experience he has brought from his journey as a lawyer to the bench, as well as the Chief Justice of India, everything has really benefited our institution. His judgments on wide-ranging aspects of the criminal law, including the death penalty and the scope of criminal appeals, will continue to mirror a reflection of who we are as a society and what we profess to be for the decades to come. His demeanor on the bench has been an example for all of us on how we can remain calm, even in the most stressful of solutions. In a sense, it reflects Justice Lalit's temperament, a yearning to reach out to unheard voices. He is, as my mother would say, a sthita prajna. When you sit with him on the bench, there's an all-pervading sense of calm which he exudes and which reflects onto his colleagues as well. On the administrative side, Justice Lalit has been committed to increasing access to justice, not just during his tenure as a Chief Justice of India. Even earlier, while serving as a chairperson of the National Legal Services Authority, he has performed an amazing job in encouraging initiatives to increase the reach of justice at the grassroots level. He expanded the reach of NALSA by reaching to the remotest parts of the country. Through these initiatives, he has rolled the wheel in helping us transform the image of our institution from a colonial justice delivery system to a system where people have to be reached out to. He has transformed the justice delivery system's image from a system which has to be reached out by people to a system which reaches out to people. Under his leadership, the first All India District Legal Services Meet was organized, which created an opportunity for judicial officers from across the country to interact, share their experiences, best practices, and demonstrate their commitment to the legal aid movement. As the chief, despite the limitations on his time, he has been kind enough to hear everyone, take multiple steps to provide solutions while prioritizing consultation and deliberation. We have all seen the manner in which he has prioritized the listing of important constitutional cases, how he ensured accessibility to these hearings for the general public by live streaming them. We have also been witness to his work on streamlining the listing process, improving transparency in the registry, and decreasing pendency. During my tenure, I hope to provide continuity to all the good work that Justice Lalit has begun, Chief Justice Lalit has begun. Institutions are strengthened only when individuals work together, and I am grateful to Justice Lalit for having provided the leadership that he did during his tenure. His tenure as a judge and as a Chief Justice of India has been marked by a very close collaboration and cooperation with the bar. I think that sense of continuity and stability which it brings to our institution must continue to remain. I can only humbly say that that will be my endeavor as well. Chief Justice, I congratulate you once again on this remarkable career. I hope you will continue to enrich and provide leadership to our profession. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It may not have been an easy decision for Justice Lalit to take up judgeship when it was offered, as he was one of the best counsels in this court. He always had a compassion as a judge, was very calm, and the composure with which he held his court. A lot of cases were settled in Nalsa during his tenure. With this, may I now request Honorable Mr. Justice CJI Lalit, Chief Justice of India, to kindly give his address.
Honorable Dr. Justice DY Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India Designate, all my esteemed brother and sister judges from the Supreme Court, Honorable former judges of the Supreme Court, Justice B.N. Agarwal and Justice Gopal Gowda. I shared the bench with Justice Gopal Gowda for, I think, 2 terms, maybe 6 to 7 months. Honorable Attorney General for India, Honorable Solicitor General of India, President, Vice President, and other office bearers of the Supreme Court Bar Association, President and other office bearers of Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association, the learned law officers, learned senior advocates, all the junior members of the bar, some of my own chamber juniors are also here, my family members, my wife, my son, my daughter-in-law, everybody who is present here, it's to you, ladies and gentlemen. As I stand before you, I remember certain promises which I made when I took over as Chief Justice of India. And I said that I will try to streamline the listing patterns. I will see that there is at least one constitution bench functioning all through. I will see that regular matters are listed at an expedited date. Ease the mentioning part. I must say, to a certain extent, I've been able to fulfill those promises. During my tenure, that is to starting from the first day that I took over till today, we have been able to dispose of more than 10,000 matters. In addition, we have also disposed of about 13,000 matters which were lying in defect for several years, but they were simply being maintained on the file. So 10,000 actual disposal as against the filing, which is about 8,700. If fresh filing is about 8,700, then mathematical calculation, about 1,300 matters are disposed of more than the filing, which means that to a certain extent we have been able to take the slice out of the arrears, the mounting arrears. At the same time, on my first day after being sworn in, I had a full court meeting with all my colleagues. That time we started with strength of 30 judges as against sanctioned strength of 34. Today we are 28, tomorrow we may be 27. So I just divided 30 by number 5 and said there are 6 constitution benches possible. So 1 to 6, we decided that all 30 judges will be part of some constitution bench or the other. And in the shortest possible time, we could have these 6 benches rolling. The first bench, which was Justice Indira Banerjee's bench, Justice Banerjee was to retire in 23 days' time. I told her that start off, let us see if you are able to finish something. And not only did they hear the matter, they delivered the judgment, so therefore that's something which came out true. The second bench, which was mine, we delivered the judgment today after extensive hearing for about 3.5 weeks. The other 4 benches are rolling. They have also, Justice Kaul's bench has finished 4 final hearing matters. They are on to the 5th matter now. Judgments are reserved. This is what I thought, that this court has to have at least one constitution bench functioning all through. And I must say, on a particular day, there were 3 constitution benches in courts 1, 2, and 3 simultaneously functioning. And that's when we started our live streaming. We also started 3 judge combinations. There are about, the day I took over, about 55 death reference matters, out of which, because death matters nowadays, after the judgment of Justice Nariman in that Muhammad Arif, have to be listed before bench of 3 judges. So we listed matters, 4 matters through with the hearing, 2 judgments delivered, 2 CAV as of now, apart from other various matters which are 3 judge combinations. All this is possible, or rather was possible, only because of, number 1, tremendous amount of support from my brother and sister judges. And equal support from the bar. I know I made certain demands. Demands were slightly tough. Matters were getting listed, perhaps at a shorter notice. But everybody rose to the occasion, and with, as if it was on a mission mode, that we have been able to accomplish this. I'm extremely thankful to all my colleagues on the bench, all the learned advocates who have been party to this entire enterprise, which I consider, and I am deeply indebted to every one of you. Coming back to, and this is my farewell, so therefore let me just tell you what my journey has been. I have spent 37 years in the Supreme Court. 31 years, or rather 29 years as the advocate, as a lawyer, and last 8 years as judge of the court. It has been a very fulfilling journey, very satisfying journey. I remember the first day that I said this in the afternoon when we rose from the bench, that I came to mention a matter before the then Chief Justice, and that was my first appearance in Supreme Court. I mentioned the matter to get it listed, and the then Chief Justice was Justice DY Chandrachud. So that was my first day, and I said in the afternoon that I'm passing on the baton which I received through successive Chief Justices onto the son of that illustrious Chief Justice. My first brush with the Supreme Court was when my father brought me to Supreme Court to say that hear this matter, which was in special courts. Again, court number 1, Chandrachud Justice Chandrachud presiding. So it has been a very excellent relationship, as Mr. Vikas Singh said. My father had a tenure of just about 2 years as a judge. And when the news came that his term is going to expire, I had never seen my father as a judge, nor had I attended his swearing in. So I said, let me just go and see you. How does my father look as a judge on the bench? And that was the last day of my father as a judge, and I went to the court. And I saw the hustle bustle, I saw the lawyers, the way they addressed, the way the judges. I said, this is where I would like to be. And that's what started off as a journey. The relationship with Chief Justice Chandrachud, Justice Dhananjay Chandrachud narrated, and the incident what he said, that you must read only so much as would enable you to meet the lawyer, was an advice given by Senior Justice Chandrachud himself. I had the fortune of being educated at 2 places in school, Solapur and Mumbai. I'm fortunate to have had the benefit of best of the teachers who inculcated everything what I today represent and stand for. I must say that my grandparents had deepest influence on me. My grandfather was an associate of Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He started as a lawyer at place in Solapur in 1920. My grandmother was the first lady doctor of Solapur. And as I say, that after her, nobody has worn white apron or white coat in our family. Everybody is only black coat here. So that's where I started. I have the great fortune and privilege of being son to excellent parents who have been kind to me, who have always been supportive of me, who have always given me every support and spared no efforts to see that their child, their son, grows up in the best possible surroundings. I had the love of siblings. I'm fortunate to have the love of my wife, my 2 sons, 2 daughters-in-law, and anybody and everybody who is near and dear to me. That's on the personal front. On professional front, I started my life in the chambers of Mr. M.A. Rane at Mumbai. Did about 2 years and then shifted here. And I remember exactly that on a particular day when I joined Mr. Parikh's chamber, he was my first guru here in Delhi. Indu Malhotra was already there in the chamber, so therefore she has been, the association has been there since 1985-86. Some of my friends are at every walk, at every stage in life. I have been fortunate to have many friends who have given tremendous amount of support, love to me, and have always encouraged me. The senior members like Mr. Javli, I did my first final hearing against him, arguing against him. So therefore, every one of you who is sitting here has some association or other at various stages in my life. My chamber juniors, they've always been looking up to me and supporting me. So therefore, this journey of 37 years in this court has been made possible and has been made easier and smoother as a result of everybody's support, blessings of elders, and at the same time, joyous understanding and being with me all the while. At times what you feel is that your work, your profession is so demanding that you need to spare time and give it to that profession. As they say, law is a jealous mistress. So she demands time every time. And who are the casualties? The casualties are your family members. I still recollect the foreword and the dedication given by Mr. Sirvai, H.M. Sirvai, in one of his books on Constitution. The dedication goes like this. I don't remember the exact expression, but what he said was, he dedicates the book to his wife and children and says that it is to them. Why? Because they gave me that time which was rightfully theirs. And I must say that at every juncture, wherever I have gone out of the way to make an endeavor, it is the family time which has been the first casualty. And my family has always supported me, has always given me everything. When I was in charge of NALSA, I covered about 16 states. At every juncture, my wife was with me. So the kind of journeys that we have had through, say, Leh Ladakh area, it was physically arduous, but my wife always stood like a support of strength behind me. The greatest influence on the professional side on me has been my senior, Sorabji. I joined Mr. Sorabji sometime in October 1986 after having spent about 10 months in the chambers of Mr. Sorabji. 5.5 years in his chamber. Seeing all kinds of matters which were like Bommai, which is dissolution of assembly, matters which were Union Carbide review. Tremendous amount of energy which was flowing in every time, and the kind of matters which was the everyday's cup of tea, where otherwise would have been very, very difficult for any lesser mortal. But that man had the capacity, and he inculcated in us, all the chamber juniors, the habit to work steadfastly, concentrate on what the matter is, forgetting what would be the other courses and forces operating, and concentrate purely and pure on the matter. It is that habit, watching Mr. Sorabji, an excellent mind at work, which perhaps I have learnt whatever I did and whatever I stand and whatever I do today is all the product of that. So as today I stand before you and take a final bow, I acknowledge everybody's efforts. I acknowledge that all of you, every person, whether it be my chamber juniors, whether it be any other junior, whether it be any associate, whether it be any friend on the other side, it has always been a fruitful association for me. I'm proud of being member of Supreme Court Bar. This profession has given me everything. When I came here to Delhi, I still recollect there were dreams in mind, but the path was not clear. But today, after 37 years, I can say with pride that yes, I was a member of Supreme Court Bar Association, which meant a lot to me. And I have, with the help of all of you, all lawyers, all judges, I have been able to do something in life, and that's only because of you. And this is to acknowledge all that whatever good I have shared with all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Having been the secretary this year and 3 times joint secretary earlier, I'm going to remember this farewell for a very long time. How much the bar loves you can be seen with a number of people over here, sir. And we wish you best of health, sir. And you will have time for your families, and we're going to miss you a lot, sir. With this, may I just read the message given by sir for the bar. This association has been known for its timely action and bold posture in aid of independence of judiciary and for maintaining rule of law. I am proud of the fact that I have been a member of this association, and I will cherish every moment as a lawyer practicing in the Supreme Court. I wish the association and all the members best wishes. Thank you, sir, for such kind words for the bar. May I now request Mr. Vikas Singh, President SCBA, and Mr. Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President SCBA, to kindly present a memento to Honorable Mr. Justice DY Lalit, Chief Justice of India. May I now request Mr. Rohit Pandey, Joint Secretary SCBA, to kindly give vote of thanks.
थैंक यू राहुल. ललित सर, पहली बार हमारे बार के मेंबर्स ने हमारी एग्जीक्यूटिव कमेटी से बोला कि अब तो हमारे सारे मैटर्स लिस्ट हो रहे हैं। Thank you so much for this, Lalit sir. We will miss you, sir. We are grateful to Honorable Dr. Justice DY Chandrachud, Honorable the Chief Justice of India Designate, for accepting our invitation for presiding the function. We are thankful to Honorable Mr. Justice U. Lalit, Honorable the Chief Justice of India, and his family members for accepting our invitation to attend this function. We thank Honorable Judges of Supreme Court of India and Honorable retired Judges of Supreme Court of India, Justice Gopal Gowda, sir, Justice B.N. Agarwal, sir, Justice Talwant Singh, sir, Judge Delhi High Court, for gracing the occasion. We thank our most beloved Mr. R. Venkati Ramani, sir, Learned Attorney General for India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, Learned Law Officers, senior members and members of the bar, Mr. Manoj Misra, President ISKORA, Mr. Devbrat, Secretary ISKORA, Mr. Sanasis Mukherjee, Vice President ISKORA, Mr. V.K. Bansal, Learned Secretary General, Mr. Sashidhar Setti, and other registrars of the Supreme Court of India, press, journalists, and print and electronic media, and office bearers and members of the different executive committee of different bar associations, and distinguished guests, and respected members of the bar for gracing the occasion. I request to executive committee to join us for group photographs. Kindly join us for high tea at ground floor.